3 months to the day, my son died. I had this stroke. We all thought it was the body telling me to slow down, like, you need to slow down, you're going through too much. My boy wouldn't have wanted me to have stopped, because he would have been so proud of what I've achieved in the last 18 months.
I think that when someone's overconfident, they don't do enough due diligence, they run into things, and that's how they come unstuck. And I've seen that many, many times.
Properties that size, detached properties, sell upwards of 750 to 850, and we're getting it for 476.
What is the most important singular step that somebody listening can take that will propel their property journey?
I've lost my boy. I've had a stroke, my second in 3 years. I've been told I've got a hole in my heart that's probably causing these strokes, and will definitely cause more strokes if it's not closed in the middle of a refurb.
If you can persevere through the year that you did last year, do you think there's anything that could stop you?
Absolutely not.
On this episode, I'm speaking to Guy, who has had one of the most challenging years that I've ever seen anyone have during their property investment journey. Guy joined the academy around a year ago today, and by the end of this year, we'll have £2 million worth of property, and started with only £40,000. That property will be generating £8,000 a month cash flow, and he's done that all whilst having some of the most difficult personal challenges you could ever imagine. So sit back, enjoy. We're going to talk about private finance, buy, refurbish, refinance, HMO, and most importantly, the grit and determination that it takes to be successful in property. Enjoy. Guy, thanks for coming on. It's great to see you, as it always is. And this is one of our first ever podcast episodes. So when I was sat there thinking who to have on, you were one of the first people that sprang to mind. And so yourself and your partner, Catherine, you've been doing incredible things since you've joined the academy. What I want to do today is pull apart where you're at now, how you've got there, and share some valuable lessons for people that are on their path in property, whether they're just starting out or some that have been in for years, maybe want to do some more exciting stuff. Because on your journey, you've been using private investment, you've been refurbing, you've been refinancing, and HMO strategy, and there's so much to unpack there that some people will have no idea it exists because you don't know what you don't know, right? You know, this rabbit hole goes very deep. But let's go back a little bit to when you joined the academy. So I'm not going to go right back, but just how did you end up on this path to property education? What brought you and I together?
What started as, firstly, thanks for having me on. What started as an idea, my wife, Catherine, she just woke up one morning and was like, we're going to start investing in property. We had discussed it previously, but hadn't really done anything about it. And I think she's very impulsive. And that decision that morning, we started to do a bit more research, find people, looking online for people who could potentially help us along that way. We come across a couple of other people online that I didn't trust. And we went to some webinar. We attended a webinar. We attended an actual in-person like seminar thing for another property expert, and I just didn't trust any of them. But then Catherine found you online. Obviously, we didn't know each other, but I knew of you, and I think we had met many, many, many years ago, and we forgot that, and we just recently remembered that we actually bumped into each other once upon a time. But my brother, who was your classmate at school, would occasionally send me videos that you had posted online. And again, I admittedly, I was skeptical. I'm like, he's just another geezer online, doing this thing that everyone's doing. But when we actually started to do some research and looking into property investing, and then Catherine found you, obviously I remembered all the videos that Max had sent me, and the fact that he knew you quite well and had known you for a long time. So I was like, let's just do it. Ask Max, because I don't use social media. Catherine does, but I just don't know how to use any of it. But ask my brother to contact you via Instagram. We got in touch, met up, had a little chat. Funny story, but the first time I saw you and I met you at your car, you pulled up in your car. This is quite funny. And I didn't know how to open the door because the door opened the wrong way. And I remember standing there feeling like a right idiot, thinking, because somebody else I know has got a really nice car like yours, and they pressed the button and the door opens. So I was expecting the door to open. So I was just standing there like an idiot, thinking, he's going to let me in. Anyway, we got in a little chat, and then the first thing I said to you was like, what do we do next then? And you just burst out laughing. So we started our one-to-ones every other Sunday, me, you and Catherine. Occasionally Helen would pop on the call. And we very quickly started looking for properties. I'd read your HMO book. We thought about doing serviced accommodation, rent to rents, but I think Catherine and I then made the decision that we wanted to high risk, high reward, high cash flowing strategies. And that is what you had been doing for many years. So I just said to Catherine, let's just copy Steve. We don't need to be complicated about this. Literally just do what he's doing. And we started looking for properties in South, Chelmsford, Essex. Because we had a conversation with you about where you'd been investing recently, and that was one of the areas. So we started looking for properties. Didn't really have a lot of money. We had about 40 grand saved up. Knew that wasn't enough for a deposit and refurb, stamp duty. But we believed that if the right deal stacked up, we wouldn't struggle getting the money. That was the advice that you gave us. And we I think with our fourth viewing, we found our house in Queen Street. It was huge. I remember coming out, looking at it, thinking, are we really going to do this? Catherine doesn't feel fear. She is completely and utterly fearless. She's like, do now, think later. I'm the complete opposite. So there was a lot of squeaky bum times, putting the offer in, negotiating over, because the house was originally up for 600,000 and had been on the market for about a year. When we found it, it was on the market for, I think, 540. No, it went from 600 to 545. Then when we found it was 505,000. Huge 3-level, 6-bed HMO. It needed a full refurb, but there was so much potential in the property. Eventually, we put in a cheeky low offer. It was rejected, but they come back with a counter offer. So there was a little bit of negotiating backwards and forwards. Bearing in mind at this time we didn't have the money to get it.
I remember the numbers very clearly. So obviously I was supporting you at that time. 430 was the first offer.
Correct.
And I'm pulling that number out because for some people, seeing something on the market at 505 and then making an offer at 430 would be scary for them.
Yeah.
But I think it's key when you make an offer that you make an offer in a respectful way. And one thing that we did in the wording of the offer is we put it very respectfully. So you never say, this property is not worth this much. No. What we said was that we like the property. In order to bring it up to the standard that we want to bring it to, the most that we'd be able to pay is 430. Now, our goal at the beginning was to end up at 450.
Correct.
They counted straight away, didn't they? I don't know if you remember what they counted.
I can't remember the counter.
465.
Right, okay.
465. Sorry, I'm not to put you on the spot.
No,
it's just
please,
because
it's fine,
I use this as an example quite a lot because it's a great example of a negotiation. Yeah. And also, a counter is a really positive sign. It means someone wants to do business, right?
Just come back to me now, the numbers.
And I think they wanted to end up at 450 as well.
Yeah.
Which also meant we had a little bit more leverage than originally anticipated. So then we went back in at 440 and said, look, and there was a key word that we put on that offer, because I don't know if you remember, I was helping to draft those offers and send them over and saying, look, copy and paste this, was thank the vendor for our offer. Yeah. We really appreciate their offer and we do like the property. Yeah. This is pretty much verbatim what we said. Yeah. But in order for it to work for us, the most that we will be able to pay is 440. Yeah. If that doesn't work, then I completely understand. Yeah. And I think that word's really key. That's why I'm sharing that when people hear, because you're signaling that, you know, I'm willing to walk away from the negotiation, and the strongest person in any negotiation is the person that's willing to walk away. And they came back and said
444 and you've got a deal, like almost within half an hour.
That's exactly what it said. 444 and you've got a deal. That's exactly.
Yes, we'll have it.
So that's so one of the key things with properties is making that money when you buy.
Mm-hmm.
And you talk to people about buying below market value, and some people are like, you can't do that. There's no deals in my area. So where do you live? And they tell me the area. So you're right. There's no deals there. You're right. That's the only place where no one's ever motivated to sell, where there's no motivated sellers or no below market values in your area. The truth is that most people, they try and work out the deals based on the right move numbers, and they go, the deal doesn't stack up. But if we're looking for BRRs, if we're looking for flips, which we'll talk about a bit later on, then we really want to get some money off at the front end. So nice chunk off at the front end. Then what did you do?
So had our offer accepted, instructed a solicitor. We then started to look for the money. We needed to borrow 100% of the purchase price, because the 444 was offer accepted. I think stamp duty was 34,500. We estimated a refurb cost of about 50k. So we had 40k, just under. We both took out personal loans for about 20 grand each. We literally just got money in from wherever we could. Still wasn't enough for a deposit, so no one would lend us the money. It was about, I think, 7-8 weeks of no's. Ben trying tirelessly to convince bridge companies to lend us the money. We're first-time landlords. We've got zero experience, and we want to borrow 100% of the purchase price, and no one would entertain us. But we kept going. We're going through legals at this time. Still hadn't actually found the money. And then one day, Ben got back in contact and said that you had introduced us to a professional lender who essentially would charge quite a bit more interest on the typical bridge loans. So we had a informal chat with the professional lender, who's also a property investor himself, and he offered us all the money. We talk about how much interest and fees on top of that loan. You'll remember it very clearly, the night before completing, because we was exchanging and completing on the same day. So it was the night before, and I just felt this overwhelming sense of fear that we was doing the wrong decision. And I started sending out SOS calls to you in a mental panic. We're doing the wrong. I couldn't understand. I couldn't sit with this overwhelming, it was just consuming me that it was the wrong decision. It's going to go wrong. We're not going to be able to make it right. And, we got on the call, had a quick chat. I remember Helen in the background shouting over. You was just about to go on stage. You had one of your webinars going on. We then had a call with Ben. We went over the numbers again, and the numbers hadn't changed. My attitude had, my fear just kicked in. I've always seen myself as a little bit of a getter and a risk taker, but when you're talking about £500,000,
it's £500,000.
£500,000. And we had to personally guarantee that money as well. So it's not just, if you don't pay, they take the house. It's not as easy as that. Because the house alone in its current state wouldn't have paid him his money back. And we was committed. We couldn't pull out. And bearing in mind, I'm having a breakdown and Catherine's there like, what's wrong with you? It's fine. So I'm literally on a cliff edge here. Anyway, we laugh about it now. Completed exchange the next day. Got the keys, and what we thought was we knew we had to do a lot of work in the house. Bearing in mind, I'm an electrician, so I do work in building sites, work in houses quite a lot, but I've never renovated a house. The more we ripped out of the house, the more problems we found. So initially our £50,000 budget with a £10,000 contingency, that went rapid. It went really, really quick.
We'll talk about some of the challenges you found and what we ended up on the numbers.
Yeah.
But I just want to loop back. There's a few things you're saying that I want to pull out that are quite interesting. One of them is, what I'm hearing is there was a lot of opportunities as you went along where you could have actually pulled out and maybe would have pulled out.
Well,
there's the skepticism at the beginning about property education on the whole, which you mentioned, which we grew up in similar places, and you naturally become skeptical of everything that you see and hear, and everyone who's saying whatever they're saying. So you do that extra due diligence on people, but that could have been enough for you to go, do you know what? I'm not buying into these people. And I think it's fair to say, not to put words in your mouth, without that education, you probably wouldn't have done what you did.
100% wouldn't have done it.
And then there's the private investor. Well, there's the persistence, right? You carried on with the deal with the faith that you would find the money. Now you were multiple weeks in and you found the money, or we found the money. And so that was 100% private finance. A lot of people would have just gone, can't find the money, we'll let the deal go. And so that's another opportunity, you could have let it go. Then when you saw how much the money was going to cost, and we can speak openly about what the rates are, because people are going to be sitting there going, well, how much was it then? It was 1.4% a month. Plus your sort of solicitors fees and all of that good stuff.
About 30 grand in fees and solicitors fees, along without the interest.
And so if someone looked at that number alone, a lot of people would go, I'm not paying 30 grand in interest.
No.
But the price is what you pay and the value is what you get. And a lot of people let the perception of a price out of context stop them from moving forward.
Absolutely. I think actually that £30,000 wasn't all of it. At the end of it, it was £86,000 in interest and fees to borrow that money. And I hadn't actually sat down and worked it out properly until the end. We was coming towards the end.
Is that because it was on deducted terms?
Yeah. Well, so that was the gross. So it was £505,000 gross.
Okay.
Net one. So
what was your monthly interest on that?
£7,500.
So £7,500. So every month mattered.
Yeah.
Because you moved fast, didn't you? So every month mattered. Yeah. So every month, £7,500. So 6 months very quickly becomes 45 grand, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So that's a big chunk. Plus your exit fees, survey fees, legal fees.
An exit fee was an extra month.
So it's enough to get some people to go.
Scary. And it did me the night before. And that was even without going through what we was actually going to have to pay back. Because then obviously you've got that extra pressure. If you don't uplift that property enough to get that revaluation, how are you going to pay it back? And that's what my fear was.
And that's where you got to be confident in your numbers. So what I find with you and Catherine is that you've got a very good balance, because I think that when someone's overconfident, they don't do enough due diligence, they run into things, and that's how they come unstuck. And I've seen that many, many times. If someone's not over skeptical or over worried, they won't take the step forward. So there's almost an optimal balance of fear that makes you do the right level of due diligence, but allows you to step forward. And when you find a dynamic with a partnership, whether it's a couple or whether it's business partners, where one of them's very gung-ho, let's do it, and one of them's like, hold on, let's check the numbers first, they have the right balance that brings them forward. So I think you guys complement each other incredibly well there, because the numbers, you said, didn't change. No. The numbers didn't change, but your perception of the numbers changed because your perception of the risk. So you were focused on the risk and the cost, and Catherine's focused on the outcome. And between the two of you, you got to the perfect balance of, well, let's do all the numbers and make sure the deal works. So, all right, we've factored the interest in. Again, that's somewhere that somebody would have pulled out because they go, well, this is so much money in interest. I'm not paying this random guy this much interest, and they get locked in on that and not on what they're going to end up with. So, how much did the property revalue? Let's jump forward for a minute.
So we got a revaluation of £630,000.
£630,000. And how much did you spend on it in the refurb in the end?
Just over 70k.
Just over 70k. So bought for 444.
Yep.
70k on the refurb. Yep. So that brings us to 514. Yep. I think you said about 35 just over for stamps. So it brings us about 550.
Yep.
So we've got about 80 grand uplift on there. So you've refinanced out, and were you able to pay everything back?
So paid the lender back 100% of his money. Obviously, Catherine and I have still got personal loans that we're paying off, but we now have a 6-bed HMO generating us £2,530 profit each month with £157,000 equity left back in the property.
So you've now got a pot of equity, because if you sold that property, that's a RICS valuation, so it's worth £630,000 in its current condition. So you've got £157,000 pot that you've created. You've got £2,500 a month profit. That's just to be clear, because sometimes people go, oh, that's the turnover. That's not the turnover.
Profit.
That's the profit. So that's after we take away the mortgage. That's after we take away the bills, the expenses, the maintenance and everything. That's how much money lands in your bank account, which is £30,000 a year. And that's a typical UK annual salary. And so we'll look at what you did with the property in a moment. And spoiler alert, six bed HMO, because that property as a buy to let would make a fraction of that. Probably not even enough to cover the mortgage. So a beautiful deal from a BRR perspective, using private finance, which got you your first one under your belt and a lot of experience. Refurb. You said when you started pulling the property about, you started uncovering problems. What sort of problems?
So we knew, we kind of walked into it thinking, we're going to rip the carpet up, we're going to put new flooring down, we're going to decorate, put a new kitchen in, paint the walls, paint the ceilings, new electrics. What we uncovered was underneath the carpet, there was laminate flooring. We pulled the laminate flooring up. There was plywood underneath the ply, was completely rotten, infested floorboards. So we had to rip all of them up as well. So we was then left with soil.
Yeah, the health and safety hazard, that one as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, Catherine's brother, when we was uncovering it. So we started under the stairs. Don't know why we started there. So we started pulling it up under the stairs, and Catherine's brother literally fell through the floor. It was so badly damaged from woodworm and moisture build up. We had to rip the whole ground floor flooring up. A lot of the raft, the joist had rotted as well. So this was within our first week. And that was just the flooring. We then found out that both of the staircases were infected with woodworm, so we had to take both staircases down.
At this point, were you thinking you made the right decision?
It was hell. I can't express into words what that feels like, to be going through that amount of stress. And we didn't only project manage it, we spent every single day there for 4 months, 12, 13-hour days, 7 days a week, and it was never ending. The further we moved through the house, the more problems we found, and obviously then problems we had to put right. And then problems cost money we didn't have, so we was already on a tight budget. And I mean, it's funny because it's true, and it's like the obviously a 3-story property. When we actually got to the loft and we started stripping, because we wasn't doing it typically how you would do a refurb, because we was doing a lot of it ourselves. Jobs weren't getting finished because we had uncovered more problems. Then problems would have to be put right. So we would leave that before we could get someone to come in and do the damp proofing, for example. We'd move on to the next room. We then got to the loft, ripped all the plasterboard out from the loft, and my mate was like, I don't know how this roof is still standing. So essentially we had to build the loft from the inside, completely essentially rebuild the roof, and then rebuild 2 dormers. That cost us an extra 20 grand.
Wow.
So our 50 grand budget, which I was pretty confident we could have got done for.
So that's how we got to 70.
That's how we got to 70. That roof. Essentially we rebuilt the whole.
Built another loft conversion. More
basically, yeah.
So it's interesting, right? Because I say all the time that property investing is not easy. But I know that a lot of people don't actually hear me saying it. Yeah. I say that it's worth it,
100%,
but it's not easy.
It's not easy,
and it's simple because you follow the steps and you keep moving forward. Simple and easy aren't the same thing. I use the example of going on a diet, right? Going on a diet is very simple. If I want to lose weight, it's very simple. All I need to do is move more, eat less. Follow a diet plan, follow a training plan. That's simple. Actually sticking to the diet plan and showing up at the gym, that's the difficult part. That's not easy.
No.
So property investing is the same, right? You get the guidance, the education, the support, you know what to do, you can keep moving forward, but it's not easy.
No.
Would you change it now looking back?
No.
And so we navigated through and got to the end, and it was successful. Even with going over contingency, still got a profitable property, still got a massive stack of cash, still repaid the investor, so they're happy, still got a great, it's a massive property in the portfolio.
Yeah.
Now, along that journey, it's not just what comes up in the refurb, is it? Because life always happens as well. And I know that throughout that refurb and throughout that period of time, you didn't have a particularly easy ride.
No.
Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I mean, so we'll just talk about, so on the 3rd of, we got the keys on the 16th of January, July. Keys 16th of July, started the refurb. 3rd of September, driving away from the property on the motorway, I had a stroke. I knew I'd had a stroke. I knew what happened immediately because I'd had one 3 years previously. And without going into too much detail about how I ended up knowing that was a stroke, but at the beginning, the first one, the NHS just dismissed me. Couldn't see it. I battled. I knew what had happened to me. Anyway, after about 18 months of battling with them to try and get seen by a doctor, I just give up. But what I'd done is I got some private health insurance. So the second time it happened, I knew immediately what happened. On the motorway, really, really lucky. Just a little bit of an accident, pulled over, called Catherine, and I'm like, I've just had another stroke.
Can I ask a question? Because this is not property related, but might be quite important to someone listening.
Yeah.
And I'm genuinely curious. How do you know what happened?
Well, how did I know that I was having a stroke?
Yeah, how would someone know that?
All the signs you see on the adverts, arms, face, speech. I just felt something in my brain. It's hard to describe that in words. Bearing in mind, I'm on a motorway, I'm going about 60 miles an hour. My friend's in the van. I knew what was happening immediately. And I looked at my mate and said, did my speech sound funny? He was like, what? I said it again. I think his face then dropped and he was like, oh my effing God, you're having a stroke. So by then my face had drooped. I couldn't lift my arm up. I'm like on the motorway having a stroke. Managed to pull over. We clipped a car. Luckily no one was injured. Pulled over. Like I said, called Catherine. I just had another stroke. Left my van there. She was ahead of me, about 10 minutes ahead of me on the motorway. So she's come back round, picked me up, drove me straight to hospital. Went to UCLH in central London just because that's the best hospital in the country. Got there, done a scan, come back about an hour later. Doctor's like, they want to see you in the stroke unit. They've seen something on the scan. So we're sitting there all laughing and joking, pretty chill because I feel normal now. 2 minutes later, an ambulance crew have come. I said, we've just got to take you, but they was being quite chilled about it. We've just got to take you to, I said, I walked to the ambulance. He was like, has no one told you what's happened? I said, yeah, look, we're going to the stroke unit. He said, no, you've had a stroke. We're blue lighting you to the neurology centre near Great Ormond Street. I think it become very serious. Catherine, who was, we both was just laughing and joking about it. You just instantly just see the fear in her face. And I then thought, oh my fucking God. So they literally blue lighted me through central London to the National Centre for Neurology. Walked in, door swung open. Catherine wasn't allowed in. There's about 10 doctors there taking bloods, scans, doing loads of these tests, which lasted for about an hour and a half. And they went, there's nothing wrong with you. You've recovered. But you've had a stroke, so we're going to keep you in. Stayed overnight, done an MRI the next morning, confirmed I'd had the 2 strokes. So the previous one that I knew was a stroke, got confirmed both of them. And that kind of started the process of trying to find out what had given me the strokes. 42 at the time, don't smoke, don't drink. I'm in the gym every day. I don't eat junk food. So all the normal triggers for strokes didn't apply. Anyway, so found a hole in my heart that I was born with. So yeah, had all that going on. Obviously all the diagnostics tests come after, but I remember Catherine took a photo of me being wheeled to the ambulance. It's like, I was just in the hospital, guys had a stroke. And then obviously going through all of that, having the assessment, spending the night in the hospital, coming out the next day. I remember we spoke about this before. I remember you saying like, it's okay if this renovation slows down by about 10 or 20%.
Only 10 or 20, though.
Only 10 or 20.
But no, yeah.
The day after I got released from hospital, I was back at the house. I'm like, well, we can't stop. Because as far as I was concerned, I'd recovered. I knew something weren't right in my body, but we had a job to do. So let me just go back a little bit. It was quite significant. So the stroke happened on the I'm getting emotional thinking about it. So the stroke happened on the 3rd of September. It was 4 months to the day that my boy passed away. So on the 3rd of May, I woke up. We hadn't actually got the keys to the property, but we was going through legals. We'd had offer accepted. We was trying to find the money. 3rd of May, woke up. My son's been found dead in Soho. He was 22. Words can't express or explain how that makes you feel. It's weird because like I woke up, I was meant to go to work that morning, so my alarm's gone off at like 10 to 6. I woke up, just like, you know, on iPhones when you leave a voice message, it prints it out for you. So I'm looking at my phone, there's 2 missed calls from my mum. Something about Riley, guy calling me Riley's, but it didn't make sense. I've called my mum, I'm like, what's up? She went, Riley's dead. I went, what? What are you talking about? And she said it again, Guy, Riley's dead. So I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, what do you mean? She would take this number. So I called the number as a police officer. I'm ever so sorry, Guy. Your son's been found dead in Soho. We don't know why. We don't know how he ended up there. He fell off 4 stories, fell off a roof, was found behind some shops in Soho. We still don't know to this day why, how. Not that matters. So you talk about obstacles, life, throwing curveballs, if that's even it's a fucking mountain. So yeah, 3 months to the day, my son died. I had this stroke. We all thought it was the body telling me to slow down. Like, you need to slow down. You're going through too much. But I mean, it is a big but. You know, losing a child in such horrific circumstances. I don't think you'd find many people who would not be put off, not think, have second choices about the decisions they've made to better their life. But as far as I was concerned, we had a plan. My boy wouldn't have wanted me to have stopped because he would have been so proud of what I've achieved in the last 18 months. So naturally, we just carried on. What else was we going to do? Sit indoors, miserable. You know, we had goals and we had made decisions. And as far as I'm concerned, there was absolutely no way in a million years was I going to stop doing what we planned to do. And then to have the stroke while in the renovation at a point where it just felt like nothing could possibly more could go wrong in the refurb, and it kept going wrong. And of course, more problems means more money that we just didn't have. So I'm carrying all of this. Bear in mind, we still don't know why my boys died or how he's ended up there. There was a police investigation. There was a huge public appeal. Every newspaper, television program in the whole country. My boy's face was everywhere, and the fact that he'd been found dead in Soho. So I'm carrying all of that. We're doing this refurb that just got worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. I then have a stroke. 2 days later after that stroke, I'm back in the house because I'm like, we've got a job to do. At no point did I consider quitting. Not one part of me. Even though some of the advice I was getting from close family and friends, like, mate, you need to slow down. I'm like, why? I'm not. Got to get this done. So yeah, then obviously they found a hole in my heart. So then I constantly walking around thinking I'm going to have another stroke because the surgeons told me, this is what's causing your strokes. So I've lost my boy. I've had a stroke, my second in 3 years. I've been told I've got a hole in my heart that's probably causing these strokes and will definitely cause more strokes if it's not closed in the middle of a refurb. We laugh about it now, but it's not funny. It's far from funny. But it goes back to that, that little wobble I had at the beginning. I feel like that was that's just how I am naturally. I do have little wobbles, but I don't stop. But what being with you and meeting you and getting this education is, would I have been able to succeed in that without meeting you? I don't think so. How would I have navigated that? I don't know how I would have navigated life. There's no two ways about that. But doing that property, with all of that stuff going on, I don't like to blow my own trumpet. It's something I never do, but like, I think it shows, and I'm constantly surprising myself by how resilient and determined and strong-minded I continue to be after suffering for years and years and years with mental health and substance abuse when I was younger. I constantly keep surprising myself, and I feel like we are just at the beginning, really, of this journey. And yeah, it's just catapulted us, really, that grit and resilience to just keep going no matter what life throws at you. Because I had lots of excuses to stop, but
You had all the best excuses,
but no real reason.
Nobody would have held it against you at any point if you would have stopped. Even if you'd have just stopped because of the things we said before. I'm not sure about the numbers, and we see this every day. You're in a community of investors now. You see this every day. People talk themselves out of deals, but you've suffered the most tragic loss that anyone could possibly suffer. There's no parent on the planet that wants to outlive their children. So sorry for your loss, firstly. And I do admire your decision to carry on. One of my favorite books is a book called Grit, Angela Duckworth, and basically says that the strongest determinant in success is someone's ability to carry on going, because there's no successful person that isn't going through it. And one of the things that I say to people about my own life is, if anyone really knew what it takes, they wouldn't trade places.
No,
they would never trade places. It's admirable, and you've kept moving forward no matter what. And I think it's great that you can share that, because there'll be people that have things come up and be making a decision, will be at a crossroads of their life. Or do I take this path where I go, okay, I'm going to back off. But what is that alternative? Where does that take you? And you can always look for an excuse to stop, or you can always look for an excuse to carry on. And I hear them as you're talking. You say, well, actually, my son would have been proud of what I did and would have wanted me to carry on. And so that's the truth. And that's the truth that you lived by. Your health challenge that came up and presented itself partway through, it's not a Mickey Mouse challenge. It's a serious thing. Did you have to have treatment for that? So
on January the 15th, had heart surgery to close the hole in my heart.
So that's a serious thing. And I'm asking that question because people go, okay, we had a mini stroke, we had some tests, and that was the end of it. No, you had heart surgery. That's a serious thing. And so if you can persevere through the year that you did last year, and this is only last year, a lot of this happened less than a year ago. Do you think there's anything that could stop you?
Absolutely not.
What drives you?
It's a good question. For many, many years growing up, there was a lot of trauma and a lot of abandonment and drug addiction I experienced, witnessed growing up. I kind of feel like that decision, the decision that, you know, maybe it wasn't a decision. The path my life took from a young age wasn't my decision. I've always felt growing up, even from a very young age, that I was destined to go on to do great things in life. I knew I had that in me. Didn't know how to tap into that. It's only in recent years, the last 9 years since I gave up taking drinking drugs. And like I say, my life has just gone from strength to strength to strength to strength, and suffering for so long, and having that innocence taken away as a child. I always knew deep down I was destined to do better things. So I don't know if there's a one thing. It's certainly not a figure. It's not like this pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. A big house and cars and what. It ain't about that for me. It's. I'm a grafter. I'm a getter. I want to succeed. And grow. I say that every day's a school day. Love learning new things. Try and learn something new every day. So I don't know if there's a one particular thing that drives me. There's just something in me that won't give up.
Do you think you're more moving towards something or away from something?
Probably moving away. When I think about how traumatic my upbringing was and my early adult life, even going through that, I knew it wasn't right for me, and I deserved better. And I'd always, God, you deserve better than this. So to then, take that courage to say at the beginning, I need some help. I can't do this on my own. I think it's probably the bravest decision I've ever made in my whole entire life, to actually surrender and say, I can't do this. I need some help. So I've constantly been working, grinding, for the last 9 years, just to move away from that trauma and the torment and the chaos and horror. I don't say that lightly. I mean, we don't need to go into too much detail, because the details are irrelevant, but it's how you feel that's important. So for me, it's about exceeding to my true potential, creating a legacy, helping other people. Probably my favourite thing in the world to do. Just trying to be a good person. Do you know what I mean?
I do know what you mean. And I think, we know enough about each other to know that we both had our own challenges throughout life. And I actually think, and this might be an unpopular opinion, but one thing that I notice in very successful people, some very successful people, everyone's got different backgrounds, different pathways, is the grit that I mentioned earlier, which I think is one of the strongest common denominators or strongest factors that is similar among successful people. A lot of that comes from people who've had their own version of hard because they're familiar with hard. And so they're like, okay, this is hard, but I know what the alternative is, and that's much harder. You touched on one thing, and then I'm going to loop back round onto the property, but you just mentioned casually, but in case this is valuable to someone, in fact, this is valuable to someone watching or listening now. You said you've been pretty much 9 years clear of any drink or anything. What advice would you give to someone who's going through that struggle now? What's on the other side for them? What's one thing that they need to do, and how important is it that they do it now?
Get help. Just ask for help. I don't know where that help might be. I don't know who that help will be with, but it's a sad existence. Being in that place and feeling trapped, because you are trapped, but you've got to get out of it, and only you can get you out of that hole. You've got to ask for help. It'll be the single best decision you'll ever make in your whole entire life, without a shadow of a doubt. There's like no two ways about it.
Thank you, because I think that's important. So All right. That deal's done.
Yep.
It didn't dissuade you. It didn't stop you from going at it again. But possibly the opposite. It's almost like that. You pulled you back, and now you've gone into it. So, second deal that you found, what does that look like?
So our second deal is going to be another HMO in Bishop Stortford. It's just about 40 minutes away further than Chelmsford. It's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful detached, currently a 4-bedroom home. We are going to try, well, we're not going to try, we're going to convert the garage into an extra bedroom with an ensuite. We're just going through we've come across a little bit of a issue with planning. One of the conditions when the house was originally built was the garage can only be used to house cars. But the reality is you couldn't fit a car in the garage. So we're dealing with that separately. So we're currently going to open it as a 5-bed HMO. It doesn't need that much of a big refurb. It's new kitchen, new bathrooms, new flooring, decorating. We've got that for £465,000. We are probably going to spend about 25-30k on the refurb. Sold comparables within a mile radius in the last 12 months. Bearing in mind, it's a beautiful, beautiful home in a very, very, very upmarket, historical Roman English town. Houses of that size, done up to a high spec, comfortably sell for £650,000. Comfortably.
Good.
Yeah.
So we've got a good deal there. It's another HMO. Doing, again, one thing I say to people, you don't have to reinvent the wheel, right? You've got something that works. Why would you now go and learn another strategy in another area? Let's lean into it. You've got... Quick question. End of this year, you've got 2 deals in the pipeline now. That's one of them. End of this year, if you just do those 2 deals, what's your portfolio value approximately?
1.3, about 2 million quid.
About 2 million quid. What's your rent cash flow profit every month?
With the freeze of about 8k.
About £8,000. So a £2 billion property portfolio, £8,000 a month profit, which replaces both yours and Catherine's income entirely, which was your goal, right? And your goal was to do that, if I remember from when we first started, to do that in 5 years. So you've done it in less than 2. Congratulations in advance. Now we still got to get through those deals. Of course. Let's not celebrate too early. But I just want to step back and look at high level what you're achieving, because you're in it now. You're in the mix. So that one, and in fact, let's go. So end of this year, £2 billion worth of property, £8,000 a month profit. You started with 40 grand in the bank. Yeah. It's not bad.
No.
There's a lot of people there that might have less than or more than or thereabouts £40,000 in the bank that are counting themselves out. Yeah. And have less challenges than you had that are counting themselves out. So thanks for sharing all of that. Now, that deal then, you're using 2 private investors to fund that.
Yes.
One of them you met via the academy.
Yes.
And so you're saying there's, speaking about the academy for a minute, because people watching, some of them won't know what the academy is, how it works. I mean, in that academy, we've got a solicitor who I know has been supporting you. She's 19 years in the legal profession, works in one of the biggest firms in the UK. You've got a qualified accountant who's got his own practice, who I know has been supporting you on the tax front as well. You've got a planning consultant who's now going to help you with converting the planner, and you've got a finance expert alongside all of the property investing experts and coaches who I know you're also working with as well. So some people might think it's just me. So, but I'm just pointing out there's 14 experts within there that all have different expertise to bring to the table. So you also within the academy, you've got other academy members. Some of those academy members have got some money they want to put into other deals. So one of your investors came through the academy, right?
Yes, just another person like myself joined the academy. Completely different backstory, just literally just a person who's saved their whole life. Got a few quid, and wanted to potentially lend money to somebody else. And do I wouldn't say we're doing like a lend and learn type thing, although we are essentially, but basically they've got some money. and wanted to put that money to good use because they're not earning nothing from the bank. So we're taking some money off of them. We're going to give them a generous return on their money. And in the meantime, we're going to be sharing our journey, exactly how we are doing what we've done previously, and what we plan to do moving forward with the deals we secure.
Perfect. So that person, I mean, that's someone else that I've coached as well. And so,
Yes.
like you said, you get different people. So this person came on a coaching session with me and basically said, look, this is how much cash I got.
Yeah.
I like the idea of being a private investor.
Yeah.
I want to get a return on my cash. And also, from a confidence perspective, would like to be brought along on somebody else's deal. And so I've connected them with you. Now, you might correct me, I think it's 100,000 they're lending?
120.
120.
Yeah.
So they're lending 120,000. And how's that being secured?
So we are a family member's home. So what we're going to do, we'll take that money, but to secure that money, Catherine's mum's home, we're putting up a security on that loan. So like it's 100% secure. So if anything goes wrong, the money's safe.
And what are you paying her?
So we are going to give her 1% a month.
1% a month. So it's a good return. So sometimes a big thing that I get, quite prevalent online. No one's ever going to lend you this money. First thing, UK Wealth Report, 1 in 6 people has over £100,000. Believe it or not, they just don't wear it on their T-shirt and tell everyone that they've got it. The people that have got that often got it in a savings account, at best 3%. You're effectively giving 12% return. It's 4 times what they're going to get in the bank. So the private investor's not doing you a favour, you're doing them a favour. Absolutely. It's mutually beneficial. It's a win-win, which is the best way to do any kind of business. And then your other private investor's quite the legend, apparently, in the property game. Is that right?
Yeah. So our other investor, Steve, lending us, do we go into the figures?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So 313,000 net. So again, we're going to give Steve 1% a month on his money. Again, we didn't ask Steve or the other investor for any money. You approached us and offered us, and then when the other academy member asked you if you had any in mind, you came to us, and that was all, I think, all on the back of how successful our Queen Street property was. So things have catapulted, really. That's not our only deal. We've got another deal in the pipeline as well, which is going to be a JV.
Yeah.
So our JV, we've secured the property. Just go through the numbers. Originally, it was on for 600,000. It was then reduced to 550 and then 525. We put an offer on this property about 6 months ago. We got outbid, so we just let it go. The person who put the offer in, it's fallen through. They've come back to us and said, look, it's back on the market. Would you be interested? So we said yes, but we're not paying 525. They said, no, we think we could get it to you for 490. So we're not paying 490. We eventually managed to negotiate £476,000 purchase. It's a probate property, so there's no stamp duty. So we've saved about 40k on that deal. It's a detached property in the heart of Chelmsford, Old Molsham, where properties that size, detached properties, sell upwards of 750 to 850, and we're getting it for 476. It's going to be a JV. So the JV, Steve, putting up 100% of the money, purchase, refurb. Once we will be managing the refurb. Once we've completed the refurb, done the refinance, Steve's got all his money back. We'll split the house 50-50. Profit from the sale of the
again, buying at the right price, right? So it's on for 600, it's dropped down, 476.
Yeah.
It's substantially lower. If you've got someone who needs to sell and they don't have a massive audience of people chomping at the bit to buy, then you've got potential for a really good deal. So that will be number 3. And so I don't broadcast this, but this is where I understand, because I borrow money, I lend money. And so I see both sides of the private investor journey. And so for me, if I've got funds that are sat around, and people go, "Well, you can do a deal."
Yeah.
I can, but I'm also running a finance brokerage, a letting agency, a rent-to-rent business, a deal packaging business, a property education business, and all of these other things, and an existing portfolio full of properties. So rather than let funds sit and collect dust in the bank, I would much prefer to put money into people's deals and get a return when those funds are around. Now, I say this knowing I might be inundated with people. So if you want to do the same thing that Guy and Catherine did, then do the same thing that Guy and Catherine did, which was get the education, prove themselves in the ring, and then you're going to unlock different investors, different rates, different deals.
Absolutely.
And so congratulations. Hopefully that shows the faith that I've got in everything that you're doing.
It does.
As well. And that said, you could easily find the money across the academy. There's lots of people within that academy that are lending to one another. Our job is to facilitate that. But these deals, there's so much I can unpack about finding deals, about the tax benefits, but there's so little time. So maybe that we have to jump on and delve deeper into some of those technicalities at some point. What is the most important singular step that somebody listening can take that will propel their property journey?
You've got to get the education. Without the education, you're not going to know where to go and how to do it. I make that sound so simple, but for us and how we have approached this is to just listen, get the education, and copy what you've been doing. We know that works.
It's what I say. I'm not academic, right? So I haven't got no degrees.
Me neither. No education.
I've
nothing.
got no A levels.
Yeah.
I'm really good at copying people.
Yes.
I'm really good at copying things that I see work. And I'm really good at following instruction. So, and I'm going off topic, but to give a different context for the same, if I go and I went and tried to do wakeboarding a couple of years ago, all of the boys, they're trying to do it. They're flying off the back. They're flying off the back. In my head, it's very simple. Listen to the exact thing that the guy tells you to do. Bend your leg, keep your arm straight. Whatever you do, don't bend it. Just do the exact thing, and then I'm off. Right. And then I'm balancing it. And so I compare property investing to many different things where if you go to an expert, I could take a chef who's been cooking and chefing for 20 years and has perfected a recipe with years of experience and trial and error. And they've just put it onto an A4 page, precisely how to get that exact dish. I don't need to freestyle.
No,
I don't need to go, actually, I think I need a bit more salt or a bit more whatever. You just copy it step by step. Okay, the oven's on 220, this much ingredients. And then I get the exact or close to the exact result that person got as a result of those years of experience. That was a big one for me because I actually started out trying to figure out things on my own because I was probably a combination of ignorant, arrogant, and too skeptical to listen to what anyone else said, maybe too proud as well. And so I just made a lot of mistakes, wasted a lot of time, burnt a lot of money when I could have moved so much faster if I got good at copying and listening a lot earlier. And you actually said that quite early on in the beginning. And I think there's so many people on this journey that someone can find someone that works for them, that shares their values, that does the types of strategies that they're interested in, because there's lots of different ways to approach property as well. You can do private finance and BRRs and HMOs, but some people might want rent-to-rents and short-term lets, and all of that's fine. I think for me, it's the vanilla stuff that people did 20 years ago that everyone's familiar with, that doesn't really work, and it's too hard to get into anyway because it involves spending years saving a deposit, buying a buy-to-let and still working full-time. 96% of buy-to-let investors still have a full-time job. So we're looking at taking the same house, using leverage, as Robert Kiyosaki would say, to unlock that house rather than going, I can't afford it. It's how can I afford it? So great questions equals great life. And then taking that same house that would make a minimal return and finding a way to make it much more profitable. And so for you, that's private finance, that's HMOs. If someone here is starting out their journey to get the education, now that's going to look different for everyone. Maybe they join an academy, maybe they come to some online, maybe they go and find themselves a coach, maybe they watch as much YouTube as they can and do their best to contextualize all of these different deals into their own examples. Maybe they join different communities and network. How important is it to get comfortable with being uncomfortable?
It's funny because a year ago, honestly, the thought of it would have made me feel physically uncomfortable. The first time we ever done filming, I hated every second of it. No, I can't tell you how much, Steve. And it went on for you was with us for about an hour and a half at the house. God, filming it in this room, I was like, okay. I hated every second of it. However, for a very long time now, I have been pushing myself to do things that make me feel uncomfortable, because that's how you grow, right? You have to push yourself to do them things, because now feels like really, it was a little bit awkward when we sat down. It's like, this is a bit weird. There's lights and microphones and cameras, but actually we're just having a conversation.
Yeah.
Okay, there's a camera there, but so what? And this just feels so normal to me. A year ago, this whole setup would have just really, really freaked me out. But I take that approach to pretty much everything in my life. That uncomfortable feeling, I quite enjoy it, because I know I'm doing something right. I'm doing something that's going to help me grow or get better at something. And I couldn't imagine a life just being comfortable all the time.
Be a boring life.
Boring as hell, man. That's not a bit of me.
There's one quote that springs to mind, and it has sprung to mind throughout this conversation. It's a quote that I really like, which is, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change.
Absolutely.
And you get to choose your perspective in life. Most people don't.
No.
Most people never step back and go, actually, how do I want to look at this? They just feel how they feel and they accept that as truth. But there is the ability, and I say this for everyone here, to step out of your situation and make a choice on, how do I perceive this? Because there's different ways. Do I see this as a reason to stop or a reason to go on? Do I see this as something that's beyond my reach, or that is a must for me? The final question that I've got, and by the way, anyone who wants to see Guy's deal that he hated filming, we've got a YouTube video, you can find it. It is online, and we go down and we break through the entire refurb, what you spent and where, and you can see that within the property, and we talk about some of the challenges that happened. Last question, and it's a super simple one. Do you think that anyone could do what you've done and what you're doing? Do you think anyone could go from pretty much a standing start without the property experience to a £2 million in property in less than 2 years, £8,000 a month profit? Would that be something that, if someone took the steps and was willing to get out of their comfort zone, is there any reason that someone couldn't do it? Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. Anyone could do it. If I can do it with what I've just gone through the last 12 months, there's literally no reason why anyone couldn't. You get the education, make the decision. If you want to do great things and build something worthwhile and get used to feeling uncomfortable, and push through hardship, because listen, it's not easy, but like, nothing in life is worth having is easy, right? So no, absolutely not. I refuse to believe that there's one single person who cannot do what I've done.
Amazing. Guy, thank you very much for coming on.
Mate. Cheers.
Appreciate you. And I look forward to catching up on all of these deals and where we're at in the future. Cheers, mate.
Cheers, mate. Thanks, Steve.